everybody, my name is Heather and welcome to my channel, The Debt Free Quilter. Today we're going to talk about some things to get started on your sewing journey. Let's dive in. First things that I recommend you look for is a rotary mat. This particular rotary mat is the Olfa brand and it's 18 by 24. It runs about $25 to $30 the last I checked. Now this rotary mat is a self-healing mat. You will use with it a rotary cutter, and rulers. I recommend with rulers get two, a rectangle and a square. They both have their uses. They will last a long time. These are the Creative Grids brand. I've had them a couple of years, I guess. And what I really like about them is they have non-slip on the back around the edges. And it's really nice because you put them down, they don't move very much, at least not very much on your fabric. Now, the rotary cutter is sharp. We always exercise caution with the rotary cutter. This one, you push that and the blade comes out. Then you push this button and the blade goes back in. And this guard is here to keep you from cutting your fingers. And all of those work together to make your fabric cuts. Speaking of, what does every beginning sewist need? Fabric, fabric, and more fabric. This is what's called a charm pack. These are 5-inch squares in black and white. I've had those in my stash for a little while, so we're going to pull them out. We're going to use them. Not today. That will be in our next video. Okay. To go with our rotary cutters, always need extra blades. This is a 5-pack. I believe I picked this up at Walmart for around $20. Prices will vary depending on location. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't know what the cost of things are in your area, for example. And this rotary cutter, I believe, is anywhere between $10 to $15. The rulers, I honestly do not remember how much they were. But you can look them up at creativegrids.com and you should be able to find them there. Okay. The next thing we need for a successful sewing beginning is thread. Now this is a cone of Aurifil 50 weight. There was somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 yards of thread on this spool, and it runs $40 to $50. You do not have to run out and buy a giant spool of thread. You will suffice with the $2 to $5 thread you can find at Walmart for learning purposes. For piecing, definitely recommend 100% cotton, although there are poly cotton blends and polyester threads that will do the same job and are about the same price point. We're talking about for beginning here. We don't have to buy the giant spool of thread, the giant cone of thread to begin. No. I don't recommend that for beginners, no. Let's see. Another thing that is good to have on hand for beginning sewers, pins. There are a million of them out there. They're all relatively inexpensive. They have their uses. Please excuse me. Oh my goodness. No. Pause for a minute. And we're going to have a real life moment here. I would have had another video up sooner, but of course, my kids started back to school, and what did all kids come home with at some point during the school year? A cold. We got the first week of school cold. My entire family had it. We still have the cough, but we're getting through it. It's just life. Okay, back to the show. The next good thing to have around, some hand sewing needles. This is a 50 count. I've actually had these, I want to say about 10 to 12 years. I used to do a lot of mending by hand, and these really saved my bacon. These run $2 to $5, maybe less, depending on your area. They are the Dritz 50 count assorted needles. They will honestly fix just about anything or allow you to do a whole lot. Okay, the next thing, beginning sewists, be prepared. Seam ripper. This one is called the Seam Fix. I don't recall which brand it is. Could be Clover. I honestly don't recall. It was a gift. Package is long gone. Seam rippers are a dime a dozen. You can buy a multi-pack of cheap blue handle ones on Amazon for $5. They will last quite a while as long as you take care of them, and always remember, put your lid back on. What I like about this one is on either end it has a rubberish texture, and you can use that to erase and pull out threads when you have been ripping. So that's a handy notion. And next we have some snips here, but in general, scissors. There's a ton of them out there. They don't have to be expensive. I have several pair of the orange-handled Fiskars Fiskars scissors that I use for my cutting. This one is a Fiskars scissor. I also have some smaller little snips, thread snips, that I carry around with me for my handwork or keep here at my machine for snipping threads and cutting block units apart. We'll get to that. But scissors, have several pair. They will come in handy, and just keep a pair near you when you're sewing in case you need it, because things happen. You might need scissors. Okay, our next notion is a seam guide. This one is a magnetic seam guide. Got it on Amazon for less than $5. Magnetic. It attaches to the bed of your sewing machine, and it will keep you stitching straight. There are other kinds of seam guides. There are ones that actually screw onto the bed of your machine. There are ones that stick to the bed of your machine next to your pressing foot. And just zoom on down. It'll keep you straight, and it's one of the better notions that will actually help. I do recommend the magnetic one for a mechanical machine for sure. For a electronic computerized machine, I would probably go with a different seam guide. One you can either screw onto the bed if that option is available, or one that will stick next to. But there is I lost my word. There is also the necessary learn your machine. Learn your machine. Learn your seams, whatever you're choosing to work with, your 1/4 inch seam, 3/8 seam, 5/8 seam, 1/2 inch seam, whatever it is you need. If you're going to be using that consistently, learn where that is on your machine so that you do not need to use the seam guide. Okay, and next, sewing machine needles. This one is the Oregon brand. I like their needles. They're good needles. They're inexpensive needles, but still good quality. And I know there's a ton of needles out there. If you're a Schmitz person, use Schmitz. If you like the Oregon needles, use the Oregon needles. Those are the two main brands for machine needles that I know of. There are also the Singer machine needles, strictly for Singer machines, but a universal Schmitz or Oregon needle will work just fine as well. It entirely depends upon your budget and what you want to use. The last thing we'll talk about in this video is sewing machines. There is a ton of them out there. I will not tell you to buy the most expensive machine you can afford. No, I'm not going to do that. I will also not tell you to buy the cheapest machine you can find. No, not going to do that either. Now, what I will tell you is work within your budget. If you find you can afford a $200, $300, $400 sewing machine to learn on, great. I'm not going to tell you to go buy the super expensive machine. Not going to do it. If you find you can afford a $200 machine to learn on, get that and upgrade later. If you find that you really enjoy sewing and quilting or crafting or whatever you choose to do. But don't buy the most expensive machine. Just don't do it. It's not good for you. It's not good for your budget. It may be taking money away from something that you need it for. That being said, the cheapo $50 machines, not going to get you super far. The mid-range, 100 to 300, is probably where most people would want to start. Now, my machine is a $1,600 machine. I've been sewing for several years, and while it wasn't in my budget, the machine that I had previously bit the dust, and I required a different machine. I required a machine that I could work with no issues. So I went out and bought the $1,600 Juki TL 2020 PE. It's a platinum edition. It's silver. It's pretty. I love it. And it came with $300 worth of extra feet. That being said, I also have a $200 brother over there that gives me other stitches. This machine, this Juki, is straight stitch only. That means it does one thing. It sews in a straight line and can go backwards in a pinch. But that's all it does. If you want specialty stitches, if you want a zigzag or an overlocking stitch, you need a machine that has a few more options than mine does. Now, the $200 machine that I have behind me hiding, I don't pull out and use very often because I don't find myself often needing a zigzag. There are times, but for me, it's not very often. But I'm still glad that I have it in case I need it. And it was well within my budget. I could pay cash for it, but it's not a workhorse. No. I needed a workhorse because I was making a lot of quilts when I got this machine. And I still intend to make a lot more quilts with this machine. So, I may not have had the money for this when I bought it. I did put it on a credit card. No, I'm not proud of myself for that. But I got a really good machine. And I'm really happy with it. It's one I can do a lot of the maintenance on myself. And that makes for a much better experience, shall we say. Because to take your machine in, to have it serviced, and you should, at least every other year, is over $100. Yeah. Over $100. So, being able to do as much as you can on your own machine, maintenance-wise, yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, I think we've covered everything. Once again, we must reiterate, every sewist, quilter, crafter, fabric must have fabric to go with sewing machine. Otherwise, what's the point? Okay. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. If you can think of anything else you would tell a beginner sewist or quilter, what do you think they would need? Leave me a comment and let me know. Maybe we'll do an updated video in the future. In the meantime, once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see y'all later.